There are four main essentials of life and nobody really talks about it. And I was listening to one podcast and I heard one guy talking about a couple of things that he's been struggling with, and I decided to make a video about the fact that I can help you out with that. That is the four main essentials that you have in life that you must cover at a minimum, starting when you start getting responsibilities when you're 18 or you move out, but at least when you're 18, when you become an adult, all throughout life. Now, they're basic, they might be common sense, but they're not common practice. So let's talk about that. Hey, what's going on? Dad 2XL here. Today I'm talking about the four main essentials that you must always take into consideration at any time in your life so that you can grow upon that. Now let's just get right into it. The first thing is might be very simple, might be common sense, but it's food or your sustenance, the ability to get food. Now, you have to have a minimum expenditure of that every day for the rest of your life because that's a necessity. Now, how much you spent on that is up to you. But the biggest thing is you need to figure out what your minimum expenditure is so that you can grow from there and decide what you're going to do with your money after that. The second part of that is shelter, where you live. Now, you just need a basic requirement at first, but we all tend to go out and we start getting the $3,000 apartment because we got a promotion at work, and all of a sudden now we think we're balling, so we're gonna go ahead and live well in that sense when we're starting out, but not realizing that that single expenditure that you're doing, it's raising the minimum essential value or cost that you have to spend on a monthly basis. So now you're starting to limit yourself in life when you're barely starting out. So your essential shelter expenditure, or the money that you're going to spend on shelter, housing, has to be minimum, just as food. If you get food and shelter at a minimum, now you have more discretionary money that you can invest, that you could do other things with, or if you choose to, you can actually raise your food expenditure or shelter, but just know that when you make that decision and you use that for that, you're actually decreasing the amount of opportunity that you have for something else. The third thing is health. And sometimes when we're young, we don't really think about that. But trust me, health is one of the most important things because if you don't have health, nothing else matters. So believe me, please, when I say that, start taking care of your health when you're young, because that's when you actually can make the most impact so that you can enjoy life further or longer and still do whatever you like. Now, I know people talk about, or in the past it was like YOLO and this and that. Yeah, I mean, you only live a day at a time, and that's why you have to make sure that every day you're making the best of it, but you can't be taking crazy risks or forgetting things or moving things to the side that you think that won't pertain to your health, that will not allow you to do things in the future if you get sick. Now, there's some things beyond your control, but for the most part, health, you got to make sure that you're taking care of it. The mental aspect of it and the physical aspect of it. And the fourth thing is transportation. Believe it or not, the way you get from one place to another, whether you own a car, is a used car, you lease a car, you own a car, you finance a car, or you travel around in Uber or rideshare services, that's another cost. So when you add that to the other three expenses of your minimum expenses required or essentials in life, now you have four things that at a minimum must be covered on a daily, weekly, monthly basis times the years that you are alive. So if you think about it, that's why this is so important, because nobody talks about the minimum expenditure that you have to cover on a monthly basis that can give you a lot of stress. If you're not covering the minimums because you have a high apartment cost or a high mortgage or a high car payment when you're financing with a high interest rate, and you're door dashing or Uber Eats everything every day, that's raising your minimum expenditure for food, and you're not taking care of your health, all that will add up and cost you valuable time and opportunities to move up in life, because you'll be stressed out. A lot of people don't cover that. These simple things are what stresses you out the most in life, because if you don't have this covered, you can't grow from there. So that's why I say when you're young, here's a bonus tip or a great tip that I can give you. Try to live below your means. If you get a promotion, don't spend that extra money that you're just getting on additional stuff, on increasing the expenditures of one of these things or other things for that matter. Try to save that or invest that. Oh, that's a topic for another video, but I just want you to be aware of that a lot of people don't talk about this and don't know this, and I wish I knew this when I was younger, is that if you cut the expenses or minimize the minimum redundancy, but minimize the minimal expenditure of your essentials in life, you're gonna get further and faster with less stress. So when you're young, cut your cost. Don't go that extra, 2-3 apartment, 2-3 bedroom apartment in a bougie area because you wanna be balling. No, save that money or invest it. And once you grow and your money is paying dividends, have the dividends pay for those luxuries. So it's about delayed gratification also. That's another key term, but that should be something that you're always in the forefront. So please, something that I wish I knew is cut all those expenses to the bare minimum, the essentials. Just eat, when it comes to food, eat whatever you want, but don't overspend on that. If you could cook at home, if you could pack your lunch, little things like that. Trust me, I'm not telling you what to do. You can see at my size, I've loved overeating in that sense, and that's another thing, but that one is actually costing money and now is affecting the health. So guess what? That's 2 out of the 4 right there. And I have to work on that at 50 years old. So I'm trying to prevent you from having to deal with that 30 years down the line. Take care of it right now, and it'll release a lot of stress. That's what nobody talks about. If you're covering these minimum essentials at the bare minimum and you stay there with that, it will give you disposable income so that you could do other things and invest. All right. Now, there's one 5th item that I never covered on that, or that I never stated, and is once you have a family or you have kids, then the 5th item becomes education. So let me recap so I could tell you. The first 4 are food, which comes to sustenance, shelter, housing, health, mental and physical, transportation, and the 5th is education, your kids' education, your family's education. Those are minimum expenditures that you will have in life. One last thing before I forget. So have that number always in your head. Write it down, keep it in the forefront. The minimal number of your essentials, that cost, that monthly cost, have that so that you can budget from that and grow from that. And also to know where you budget, what you can do with it so that you don't hit a threshold and fall below that and then be stressed out. So I hope you like this video. It's something that most people don't talk about, but it's huge. And if you can learn that early on in life, you're gonna go further faster, way further and faster than most people. So if you like that, give a thumbs up, share the video. I'm gonna continue to make videos like this. I'm also gonna be making how-to videos. The next one coming up is how to get your California Real ID step by step, because I know that's coming up soon. So if that's coming up here, it should be linked right here so that you can click on it. If not, I'm Dad2Excel, wanting you to excel in life. See you on the next video. Have a good one. Let's go.